All right, everyone, welcome back to Breslov Efrat here at Shirat David. Nicest place that I found yet. Baruch Hashem. We have a beautiful Nate's Minyan every day. Today we had Baruch Hashem. We had two Kahanim. That was a big schus for us. So Kain Yirbu. All right. Anyway, so we'll continue our lessons with Siyata D'Shmaya, of course, in Lakutei Halachis. We're learning Hilchas Tzitzis. We're in Beis, and today we're up to letter Hey. So we're talking about this idea of the Maimer Sosam. We're talking about the idea of a person can always cry out, Aye, Mekayim Kevayday, when a person finds that he's in trouble, he's in a place that it's a Batei Avodah Zarah, he's in a place of idol worship, he's in a place of places that he shouldn't be belonging to. Okay, but if he realizes
any place of concealment,
any place of concealment, right. It could be a place of tumah, it could be a place of znus, it could be whatever it is. It doesn't matter. Whatever if the person realizes there, he realizes Hashem. Wow. So anyway, let's see what the Rebbe says. So Yom Kippur is a very strange day, right? Many things happen on Yom Kippur differently than all year long, right? And one of the things that we don't really pay too much attention to is that we wear a tallis the whole Yom Kippur, right? The whole Yom Kippur, everyone wears a tallis. Everyone wears a tallis. It's very interesting. That's the din in Shulchan Aruch. Ki kaparas Yom Kippurim hu bechinas tzitzis. Wow. Sasha's looking at me. Wow, look at that. Ki kaparas Yom Kippur, the forgiveness that we get on Yom Kippur, hu bechinas tzitzis. That's an aspect of tzitzis. You see this? Sasha, you know what Reb Nosson does with all the time? Some people say today, tzitzis, I don't know why I got to wear these things. I don't know. But is someone going to say Yom Kippur is not important? Now, Reb Nosson's telling, hey, wait a second. If you don't think your tzitzis is important, Yom Kippur is tzitzis. Yom Kippur is tzitzis. Look what he says, right? Yom Kippur is an aspect of tzitzis. Why? Like we learned, the tzitzis reminds me that it's that seh, right? Where did we get the idea from? Right? That beautiful statement. Yitzchak Avinu asked Avram Avinu, right? And then we said that in the Tikkun Isaiah says that the word Bereshis is baratayish. Remember that? Is HaKadosh Baruch Hu made that little lamb. He made that ram that was in the bushes. So a person anytime can say Aye Mekayim Kivay D'Shoimer B'Yom Kippurim B'Chol HaKedushas. That's a very interesting thing also. Right in Yom Kippur, we always say the whole Yom Kippur we say Keser. We don't say the short kedusha. We always say the full kedusha with Keser, right? You agree, right?
Yeah.
And we always mention in Keser, what do we say? Aye Mekayim Kivay D'Laritza, right? Aye. So it's a very interesting thing. So Yom Kippur we wear tzitzis, and the whole Yom Kippur we also say Aye. The entire every tefillah. Ki Yom Kippurim hu bechinas Keser. Because the whole idea of Yom Kippur is Keser. Aye, the whole idea of Aye is in the highest place. It's the highest place. It's the same idea as Yom Kippur. It's Keser. It's above. It transcends all the worlds. Bechinas Aye, bechinas Bereshis, Maimer Sosam. We all know what the Maimer Sosam is now, right? You got that now? Okay. Shekoidel kol asarim amaris. That in Bereshis itself, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has included in the Bereshis, he has all the Yesem amaris, but he still mentioned the Yesem amaris. Ki Yom Kippurim klolius aseris yimei tshuva. Look at this now. Look at the connections he makes now. So we know that there were Yesem amaris, right? There were 10 utterances that were included in the Bereshis, in the word Bereshis. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu spoke out. He spoke out the Esem Amaris. Yom Kippur is the 10th day of Aseres Yimei Tshuva, right? You have Aseres Yimei Tshuva, right? The first 2 days is Rosh Hashanah, right? Then we have Tzom Gedalia, and then the last day is Yom Kippur. Sheheim Bechinas Asara Mamare. So Rav Nosson is saying that each one of the days of Yom of Aseres Yimei Tshuva is another one of the Esem Amares of create is connected to the creation in the world. And that's the whole idea of the kapara on Yom Kippur. When we cry out to Hashem, we know that Hashem, I know I made all my mistakes. I know I made all the mistakes all year. I know that. But I realize that Hashem, you were with me. You were with me in this. I understand you're with me, Hashem. And I didn't realize that. And I didn't realize, but I know now, Hashem, in all these things I did, you were part with me. You were there. Like we say, Shavisi Hashem L'negdi Samid. Wherever I go, Hashem is with me. Right? Is Hashem always with me? Whether I'm doing the right thing or Chas V'Shalom, I'm not doing the right thing. Hashem is always there. But I didn't know that. He's hidden. Hashem was hidden. But when I reveal HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that brings me close to Hashem. That brings me close, and that's what brings the kapara. Shayidei zeh bechinas zo yotzim v'oilim mikol haklipos v'nischaprin kol ha'avonos. That's how you can get out of all the husks of impurity, and you can have forgiveness for all kind of aveiros. Bein adam lamokim, right? We're talking about bein adam lamokim, between us and Hashem. Not between us and other people. Other people, you always have to ask forgiveness. Bechinas ayeh yaseh la'olah. Shenizgala b'yom Kippur. That was revealed on Yom Kippur. Shoaz nira afarei shel yitzlak lifnei Hashem yizbarach. Look at these words. Look at these words. On Yom Kippur, the ashes of Yitzchak Avinu is seen by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boy, you'll say, wait a second, Yitzchak Avinu wasn't burned. Yitzchak Avinu wasn't burned. So what does it mean the ashes were shown to Hashem on Yom Kippur? He wasn't burned. You know what the answer is? The fact that Yitzchak Avinu was so willing to be slaughtered, that he was so willing, he was on the Mizbeach and he was ready. And Abraham is ready. By HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he considers that it was already done. It was already done. Not only was it already done, he was already burned. That's what it means, because, we say that, when a machshava kemaisa, right? A person wants to do a mitzvah, right? And he's in einus, right? He can't do it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is mitzaref the machshava lemaisa. Right? In other words, I want to go somewhere, I want to do it, but I just can't. I can't. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu considers it done, because I wanted to do it. Isn't it an amazing idea? So much so over here, where Yitzchak Avinu was willing to be slaughtered on the Mizbeach with Abraham Avinu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu considers as if he was already burned. Amazing. He brings it down from the Rekanti in Parshas Vayera. You see the note? He has a little note there. You see that? From the Rekanti.
I thought this Shabbos the Rachel, when she's died when Benjamin was burned. So she has a Mesirut Nefesh to be a mother. That's like Kedat Yitzchak. Maybe there's also like the sea of children is that Rachel was willing to give her life.
Oh, Rachel Imeinu. We can't understand the greatness of Rachel Imeinu. Wow. What Mama Rachel does for Klal Yisrael all the time. Unbelievable. Ay. Wow. Because Yitzchak Avinu cried out, and then Avraham Avinu said that, guess what, my son, you're going to be the Seh. And then they went together. They walked. They went. Could you imagine that, Sasha? Could you imagine that? Avraham Avinu says to Yitzchak Avinu, you're going to be the carbon. And then they continued to walk. Yeah. Amazing. Mamash amazing. Huh?
It's right there.
Yeah, right there.
Like a kilometer and a half.
Yeah.
1 mile.
Wow. Aya yaseh lo'ila. V'zeh bechinas tallis shel rotzen. And that's the idea of the tallis of rotzen. What's the tallis of rotzen? HaKadosh Baruch Hu's tallis. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has a tallis. The Gemara says, again, we can only say these things because it's what the Gemara tells us. We understand that Hashem is not physical and HaKadosh Baruch Hu has no form or anything. But the Gemara says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has a tallis, whatever that means. HaKadosh Baruch Hu also has a tallis. Could you imagine this? See how important the tzitzis are? That even HaKadosh Baruch Hu has a tallis. Could you believe it? You see this?
He's got it fill-in.
Huh?
He's got it fill-in, so
imagine
he's got a tallis.
No, but the Torah is, look what it says. If it's Ebechinas tallis shel rotzen, shenisate Hashem yizbarach. Then HaKadosh Baruch Hu wrapped himself in whatever that means. But these are the words that Chazal teach us. V'sei the shleish esrei midas shel rachamim. And he gave over the Yud Gimel Midas Harachim, Hashem Kel Racham V'chanan, the 13 attributes of mercy. Lifnei Moshe, Ki HaTzitzis Hein Bechinas Aye. Because Hashem is showing you that tzitzis is forgiveness. That's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts on the tallis, and then he tells over the Yud Gimel Midas Harachim, that's forgiveness. Why? Through the tzitzis. Shesham Rachamim, V'rotzen v'kapora kamuva. That's how you get rotzen, and everything comes. It's all connected to our holy tzitzis. All connected to the tzitzis. You see this? It's unbelievable. I am a poorly man. Yeah. So this is mamish connected to the tzitzis. Unbelievable ideas over here. Said on Yom Kippur we'll wear the tallis the whole time. So why will we wear the whole tallis the whole time? Why is that? Because in Yom Kippur, we get forgiveness. We're forgiven for our sin. So normally we say the Baruch Shem Kaveh Malchus. We're going to say in a few minutes. We're going to see in a few minutes. We wouldn't wear the tzitzis all the time. We wouldn't do these things all the time. But Yom Kippur is something very, very special, because the day of Yom Kippur by itself is forgiveness. The day of Yom Kippur itself, a person gets forgiven just for passing through the day. Unbelievable. Look what the Rebbe says now in Vav. Zeh bechina shekavu parshas tzitzis b'kriyas Shema. So that's an interesting thing, right? What is kriyas Shema? When we makabel ol malchus shemayim, right? A person takes on that he's willing to give his life for HaKadosh Baruch Hu in Kriyas Shema. And in Kriyas Shema, the third parsha is tzitzis. Interesting. Why is tzitzis in the parsha of Shema? Why? You ever think of that?
Simply it's because,
Yetziat Mitzrayim b'leilut.
Okay.
Like they ask you, Yetziat Mitzrayim b'leilut, right? The Mishnah says, right? Whatever the Mishnah says.
No, of course. Now, I understand, but let's think about it a little bit deeper. Let's think a little deeper. Why was it set up that way? That Metzias, but with Mitzrayim is the tzitzis.
Right. Yeah.
Why is tzitzis connected with Mitzrayim? So I'll ask you that.
This is the question.
Yeah.
Oh, you like that?
Yeah.
Okay. In that same parsha, you have tzitzis and Mitzrayim. Okay. Okay. So everything is a couple parsha tzitzis b'kriyas Shema. V'gam loichin tzitzis b'shas kriyas Shema. And also we take our tzitzis in our hands before kriyas Shema. When we say kriyas Shema, we're holding the tzitzis in our hands. We ever think of these things? Ki ze ikar kriyas Shema l'haidia u'legalis k'vayid malchusis. But the whole idea of kriyas Shema is to reveal the glory, the honor, the kingship of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's the whole idea. And how do you do that? You hold the tzitzis. The tzitzis. V'zeh b'chinas Shema Yisrael uve'echad mamlichin oisai l'malo l'mata. And that's when we say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, right? We are coronating HaKadosh Baruch Hu on high and below. On high and below. V'arba ruchais. Because really, what is it we have? We have the four directions, right? We have north, south, east, west, the four directions. We also have up and down. So when we do Kriya Shema, when we say Shema, we're recognizing Hashem is the king in all the four directions, also up on high and down here. Right? Vanu marichin bedalid de'echad. And what we lengthen and we enunciate the dalid. We say the dalid very clearly. Echad. We say the dalid. We enunciate the dalid. We don't do that. We normally shaloi tidme l'reish chas v'shalom. So it shouldn't sound like a reish. Right? What's a reish? A reish means, what would the word be if you spell aleph, ches, reish? That's acher. Another something else.
Very something else.
Something else. Ki kivoidi la'acher loy etein. Because he said, like we learned before from the Navi Yeshaya, es kivoidi la'acher loy etein. Hashem doesn't give his kavod to the other things. We said that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives his koyach. Remember we spoke about that, Sasha, right? Hashem gives his koyach, but not his kavod. His kavod he doesn't give. So when we say Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, that's the kavod that we be mamlech HaKadosh Baruch Hu up on high and below in the four directions. We make sure to enunciate the dalid, right? The dalid, and not that Chas v'Shalom it should be a reish, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't give his kavod to acher, to the other things. V'hinei ma'acher shemegalin sh'Hashem echad. Hu v'lo yacher. So now that we made the proclamation, I think that's the right word to use, right? Is that a proclamation, David? Yeah. We make the proclamation that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is echad v'lo yacher. It's only Hashem, and it's no one and nothing else. Me'ata yipolei. So then we wonder, where does the Batei Avodah Zarah and the Batei, all the other tumah, where does it get its chiyas from? And that's why we say the next pasuk. Baruch Shem Kivayid Malchusay Li'olam Void Loimer Shemalchusay B'Kol Mashallah Umevayrach Shem Kivayid Li'olam Void Afilu B'Tachtis Midar Klipas. Even in the low places, in the place of klipa, in the place of impurity, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is still there, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu's covet's not there. Why? Because we said Ki Kvaydi La'achir Lo Yetein. Hashem does it, but His Kayach is there. Rak Shem Mekablim Bechinas Ma'amasasam. They get their Kayach, all the things of impurity of the world, of the Batei Avodah Zarah, the Batei, all those things get their thing from the Maimer Sasam, from a very high place, because really we try to understand, why would Hashem want to give the Batei Avodah Zarah and the mosques and all this? Why does He want to give them existence? Why? They're just there for bad things. They're not there for good things. So why does Hashem do it? That's a very high thing. We don't understand Hashem's ways. But what we do understand is that Hashem wants Bechira in the world, that we can choose. He wants us to be able to choose. So if there would only be a shul in the world, only be a yeshivot and batei midrashot, if there were only those, so then how would you do anything wrong? There would be nowhere to go. But Hashem makes all these other things in the world. So you can choose. I want to go to the Beis HaMedrash. I don't want to go here. I want to go here. I don't want to go there. I can choose. You understand? Therefore, we say it loud, slow, silently. Chashai means we whisper it, right? Chashai whisper. Ki bevadai zu soid gadol me'oid v'osel lahara bazer harbe. This is a very, very deep secret, and we shouldn't think too much about it. We just know it. We know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives his koyach to these things in the world of impurity, and that's it. But I don't have to think too much into it. It's not for me to spend my time thinking about that. I don't need to do that. Mikol shekein ledaber. Specifically, not to speak about it. So you want even to think. The Rebbe was saying, teaching us here, we shouldn't think about it. Certainly, don't speak about it. This is something very, very hidden and concealed. As the Rebbe speaks about again in lesson 12 in Tinyana, not in the first book, in the second book. Okay, now here's something interesting the Rebbe brings now. So tzike kedera, toima yesh lo genai lo yisoymar. So what is a tzike kedera? A tzike kedera is some kind of a food that's prepared that's a very low quality food. It's something that the peasants would eat. It's not something. It's not something that's fit for royalty. So, if there was the princess, a princess would want to eat this. This wouldn't be a good thing. It's not fit for the princess to eat. It's not fit for her to eat. So this is, the Rebbe is connecting here that when we feel the Kedusha, high of Kedusha, in these Mekaymes Chitzaynim. You have a question, Sasha?
No, I just wanted to...
What?
Tzike there exactly what the Gemara is talking about.
It's a dish.
Yeah. I would think it's like a cholent.
It is some kind of a cholent that's very flavorful.
Right.
It's very, very flavorful. So that when a person can feel the Kedusha in these external places. So in other words, he's in these other places and he cries out, Aye Mekayim Kavayda. He understands it's Kedusha, yeah, but he doesn't see it. That's like this cholent. We'll use the word, sir. It's nice, juicy. It's like a cholent, yeah, with some flunking in there, right? It's a juicy thing, but it's not. But it's not something fit for royalty. It's not something fit for royalty. Where did cholent come from? People didn't have money. They didn't have money, but they wanted something to make. So that's where cholent came. It's delicious. Baruch Hashem, it's delicious.
But it doesn't look presentable. So
It's not. It's exactly. It doesn't have a nice form to it, and so on, right? Shu machol mevusam. What is mevusham? It has a lot of flavor to it. It gives a lot of ach shu eitzel anoshim nemuchim. But it's for the peasants. That's why I tried to tell you, right? It's for the peasants. It's not meant for royalty. V'zeh toimar, yesh lo genai. That's going to be a genai to her. After she eats it, the princess eats this, that's going to be a genai. Lo yisoymar, yesh lo tzar. If you don't tell her, then she's going to have it. Well, look at this. You can't talk about this. In other words, you're dealing with a princess, so you can't really tell her, hey, don't eat it, but she shouldn't eat it. So it's like it's almost like a hot potato. You don't know how to deal with it. Because like we just said before, you can't say in these places, you go to the church, you can't say in the church there's Kedusha. You can't do that. You can't say it, but we know that there's something there. There's godliness there. If they're done, it wouldn't exist. But if you don't say, then there's tzar because you didn't say. So if you say, if you do or you don't, either way you're in trouble. Basically, we're saying. If you say you're in trouble, if you don't say you're in trouble, either way. Why? Because those places still get their chiyas from Kedusha. Like we said, it's still coming from the highest place of Mayim Esosam. Balkin heviu lo b'chashai. Heviu lo b'chashai. So they'll give it to her quietly. You see this? She wants it, right? But they're not going to make a big statement. So they'll bring it to her, with a little, they put the silver cover on top of the bowl. They do that, Sasha, right? They bring it with the wagon, with the silver cover. We'll put it in, we'll give it quietly. No one will see what it is. No one knows. So we say it whisper. It's like we're whispering it. Chashai. So that's what we're doing with the Baruch Shem Kivod Malchusai. That's what we're doing. In other words, it's like this thing that we don't want to say, like the Rebbe said, we don't talk about it, we shouldn't think about it, and we shouldn't talk about it. But wait a second, if I don't talk about it, and I don't speak, then it's a genai too, because really Hashem is there. So what do? We say it b'chashai. We whisper it. Now we understand? It makes sense? You like the idea there? It's such a wonderful idea with the story, with the cholent, right? Unbelievable. Rav Nassim helps us understand these words. Unbelievable. That even those places are getting their chiyas. They're not. In other words, they're getting their vitality, their sense of existence is coming from the Rabbeinu Shalom. Rakshu bechinas soid bechinas ma'amasasim. This is something we don't talk about, and that's why we say the Baruch Shem Kivod Malchusai. We say it quietly. But look at this. V'zeu shemuva shoyim Baruch Shem Kivod Malchusai levad b'chashai. Now we understand that, right? Kidei shelo yizgaru banu heim. Because what's going to happen? Look at this. If you're going to say, if we're going to give too much credence to these other things of impurity, so then they're going to come and attack us. They're going to say, oh, you think there's Kedusha here? Look at the things you did wrong. Look at the mistakes you made. Look at the things that you got involved in over the year. And they'll bring din. On the person because he's trying to show that it's Kedusha that's there. But they don't believe it's Kedusha. They know it, but they won't admit it. So they'll try to bring din. So therefore we say it quietly. Because we want to say it to Hashem, but we don't want anyone else to know about it. It's between me and you, Hashem. That's why I whisper it. Ki be'emes ze ba'atzma yachnosam. That's how I can subdue them. When I myself make the statement between me and Hashem, Baruch Shem Kivod Malchusai levad, when I whisper it, that's how I can subdue all the forces of impurity in the world via me making that proclamation between just me and Hashem. That we know that they're getting their chiyas from Hashem. Because we have to understand that when they do it in a way, we're trying to subdue them and not to give them more credence. That's the idea of noga also. What do we say noga is the klipa noga? Remember what we said? We learned about that? Right? That's the thing that you can use it either way. It's something permissible. It's neutral, but you could use it to elevate it or you can lower it. Now look at these words. And this Rav Nassim is going to finish off. It's an amazing idea. Val came b'yom Kippurim. Oyrim Baruch Shem Kivod Malchusai levad b'kol ram. Now only on Yom Kippur. So look, with today's the Yom Kippur day, right? Right. Today we talked about the tallis. We wear the tallis on Yom Kippur because that's the idea of ayeh. Right? Because we said that the whole idea of ayeh, why did we wear the tallis on Yom Kippur? We wear the tallis on Yom Kippur because that's the idea of ayeh. We said that Bereshis, the Zohar Tikkun Zohar says Bereshis is bara tayish. So that's the Maimer Sosim. I remind that Kodesh Baruch when I wear my tzitzis, I remind myself that it's ayeh mekayim kavod. I remind myself it's all you Hashem. And now we're saying that in Yom Kippur, because we did that, we're wearing the tallis. We're wearing the tallis of Yom Kippur. We have the tzitzis. We could say Baruch Shem Kivod Malchusai loud. We can make the proclamation. Why? Because now the idea of ayeh is revealed in the world. because of Yom Kippur. V'ozu be'emes achnasam. That's how we really subdue them. Ki kulai shata islay rishu bar miyom Kippur. We have no permission ever to do this, other than on Yom Kippur. We could scream out Baruch Shema Yom Kippur together as a group. We could do it only on Yom Kippur. V'oz nischaprin kol avoynes nispatlin kol klipas. Because the whole idea of Yom Kippur is, we say we don't say Baruch Shem loud. Why? Because we don't want them to attack us. But on Yom Kippur, HaKadosh Baruch Hu forgives us for the things we did wrong, so they can't attack us. They have nothing to attack us with. Hashem just forgave us. So therefore we could say the Baruch Shem Kivod Malchus, we could say it loud, because they can't attack us, because we were forgiven. And now we can announce, we can advertise. You like that word? We'll use with that. We can advertise b'kol ram, with the greatest, biggest advertisement. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchusay L'Olam Void. Hashem's, your shame, your name, your glory, your kingship is forever and everywhere.
It's really amazing.
Da'ainu shekedushasa yizbarach mevayrach li'olam. Hashem Yisbarach is blessed forever. Afilu mimidor haklipas. Even in the place of the klipa, even in those places of impurity, Hashem is there. Ki gam heim hayu mikablim chiyas mimenes, because they also get their chiyas from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ki hachshav ein ze ginai klal meyacha shenichnu ata. Now it's not a ginai anymore to call it out, to call them out. We can call them out now on Yom Kippur. Why? Because the whole year it's a little bit of a ginai, it's a little bit of a, how do you want to translate ginai?
Disgrace? Not disgrace.
A
little disrespectful.
Disrespectful. Okay, it's a ginai. It's something not nice. Something not nice. Kiviyachol ledaber mizeh. Aval hachshav shenichnu mefasem mikol ram baruch shem kivod malchusay li'olam voed. Dainu shegam shom mevarach shem kivod yizbarach. Even in those places, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, His name, His glory, His honor is found there. Al kein shaya tzitzis l'kriya Shma. Now we understand why tzitzis is important to have with Kriya Shma. Hashem echad v'lo yacher, because the HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't give His covet to acher, right? And we say the Baruch Shem Kivod Malchusay, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is everywhere, and that's the Maimer Sasam. And the tzitzis is the Maimer Sasam. So now we understand why we have tzitzis together with Kriya Shma. We understand why. You understand now, right? We understand that, right? Because tzitzis is the Maimer Sasam. Maimer Sasum. Satum.
Mamash Satum.
Satum. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm Ashkenazi, you're Sephardi. Okay. The Maimer Satum is HaKadosh Baruch Hu is doing things in a way of hiddenness. We don't understand how Hashem does His thing.
Mamash Satum?
The idea reminds me, why? Because the Zaya, Tikkun Zara says, Bereshit, the word Bereshit is bara tayish. Bara tayish. You hear this? What's tayish? A ram.
Tayish, the animal.
The animal.
Okay.
Where's the animal? The animal, and when you make the tzitzis, comes from what? The wool, from the animal. You see? He calls tzitzis. It's all one aspect. It's all tzitzis. When it comes to Kriya Shema, Yom Kippur, Ayeh Mekayim Kivoday, Yitzias Mitzrayim, everything is mamish, all bound to the mitzvah of tzitzis. But we have to understand that everything, anytime we find ourselves in a place that we don't belong, and we take out our tzitzis and we look at them and we scream to the Rabbeinu Shalom, Ayeh Mekayim Kivoday, that is our tshuva. That is our bringing us back to the highest place. Anyone have any questions or comments? Shkoyach, everybody.